Greetings, this is Exandria Unlimited, coming to you with another Critical Role D&D reaction. Tonight is the start, instead of campaign 3, episode, I think it would be 25. We will be having the first in a four-part series. Where we go, Exandria Unlimited Calamity. Unlike the previous two, the previous two series, these for Exandria Unlimited, this will not have this. This will feature the Crown Keepers, but go back to the the days leading to the Calamity, the War of the Gods on Exandria, and how the champions, some of whom that will be represented by the player characters, shall be. Before this goes any further, I should say that I do not own nor am I associated with Critical Role. Its YouTube or Twitch channels, or any of its other online presence. I'm just a fan sharing with fellow fans my views and thoughts, and probably most unflattering facial expressions. I don't know, this will be part 1. Assuming that it's not like a short and only to be done in one episode. Hours of 29 minutes. Hours of 20. What the heck? Oh, God. Sorry. My phone was on. There. I thought I'd turn it off, because I might want to try to look the information up. I doubt I'll be recording part 2 tonight, so it'll be more like an early morning thing. And now, let us begin the tale of Exandria's Unlimited Calamity. May they have good fortune on the show, for this will be hard.
Hello, and welcome to Exandria Unlimited. My name is Brendan Lee Mulligan. I'll be your GM for this Calamity. Throwing to our friend, Marisha Ray.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness,
Already?
that was
Wow.
such a quick opening.
On your feet. On your feet.
Calamity.
Know where you're going next.
Thank you for that smooth and seamless toss, Brennan. Today,
Oh boy.
I have a little bit of merch to present to you. Okay, so from our Beauty of Exandria The Wilds collection, we have a Critical Role reversible bucket hat. Hey, look at that. When you go on the other side, it's got a little...
Amazing.
Oh,
it's like two hands.
Oh, look. And then it's got, you know, it's got the little...
So far, you've been talking about merch 4 times longer than Brennan's opening.
We have a toss pattern illustration by Savannah. Nope, that was for that. That's the toss pattern illustration. Moving on, we have the Critical Role watercolor logo T-shirt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is this going well? Is this good? This is good?
This is about
good.
as par for the course, really. Just kidding.
Well, shucks, gang. I'll elaborate, I guess, a little bit. Welcome to Exandria Unlimited. Calamity. Calamity. If you were expecting a fun one, you're not getting one. This is a story of grief, betrayal, loss, and the panic of the coming of a new age. Calamity. Oh no, that's right. We're doing a prequel series. We also have some new faces for the first time. I'd like to introduce some people that have not been at the table before. First, Mr. Lou Wilson.
What a thrill. It's so nice to be here.
Get low. Get low.
Hi, table.
And Mr. Luis Carazo.
Hey. No, baby.
I don't know. I feel like I should hug the table too. It's sort of
It would be appropriate.
should I hug the table? Peer pressure. It works on me. Hugs you back.
We won't say it.
Incredible. Well, we are going to be telling a story of a different age in Exandria, an age long past. Rumors and legends abound of this time period in the world. This is prior to any vestiges of divergence, prior to the coming of the divine gate and the departure of the deities into realms beyond Exandria. You will find no Taldore in this version of this world. For indeed, it has not yet received that name. It is known by its elven name, Gwasar. Wow. We journey to an age long ago to tell a story, perhaps of a more sorrowful and bitter time. Shadows stalk this world. Come with us, but please, only if you dare. Whoa. Please, I can't stress enough, only if you dare. Without further ado, a pleasure, an honor. I couldn't be happier to be here. What an incredible table. Let's have so much fun telling a sad, sad story. Thank you all for watching. Let's get ready for tonight's episode of Critical Role.
Will they have? How will it? None of the events shows. May not be able, but there's multiple plates to me.
Fire. Everything feels slow. There's movement and there's heat, but the only noise you can hear, despite all this chaos, is breath. It's yours, but it's also a stranger's. It's like someone else is using your body to breathe. You're stumbling. Luis, I need you to describe your character and tell us your character's name, but I would love for you to do that with the understanding that your mouth is filled with blood.
All right, well, my name is Xerxes Iledes. I'm 6 feet tall. I'm a paladin. Broad-shouldered, muscular, dark hair, wavy, medium tan brown skin, amber eyes with a kind of troubled, sometimes emptiness behind them, and I imagine right now he's stumbling around, wiping the blood off of his mouth as he's trying to maintain his sense of his surroundings.
You've been here before. You're in a state of disorientation. It's combat. You're not dead. Maybe the blood in your mouth isn't your own, but you've just received a massive blow somewhere to the head. Not lethal, but you're off balance, you're stumbling. Something is wrong, and not in the sense that you're in a bad situation. If anything, that's a place of comfort for you. Something is wrong in the spirit. You open your eyes. Everything is moving through liquid glass. Time is as slow as can be. Ahead of you, you're seeing shapes swim into focus as your eyes reconnect. You can feel your legs doing their work underneath you. It's so slow. And again, ringing off the inside of your helm, your own breath, sweat pouring down your brow. Ahead of you, the shape comes into focus from blur into three swimming shapes that you realize are the same wall. It's a wall, it's a building. There's something happening. There's fire. There's an orange glow that has turned the white marble of your city into a hellscape. There is a burst of energy, an explosion. It moves so fast out to a radius of 10, 15, 20 feet, and then joins the glass time that you are in. Boom. Slow. You feel yourself lifting off your feet, being blown away, slower than you have ever moved in combat. What are you doing?
I am trying to find the people that I know. I'm looking around as I'm being blasted slowly through space, through the air. I'm trying to find anyone. Twisting and turning my body. Do I see anything?
Someone you know. You look through the streets as you move. Two more explosions. They start so fast and get to only a certain point and then whoom, slow again. You're watching moments in time disconnected. Someone you know. Down a street. Maybe it's a street you recognize. Could have been a street you walked on the first time you came to this city. At the end, there's an open plaza. You know at the center of that plaza, there's supposed to be a statue. And you know who that statue is of. Instead, there is open space. You see a boy, 5 years old, a red shock of hair. He sits with his feet dangling in the opening, a humble fishing rod in his hand, sinking into the blackness of the void in this space.
Is this one of the gods?
I need to get to him. I'm gonna try to use whatever I can with my body and kind of twist and try to guide my body in that direction if I can.
You move,
Oh, it's like
you feel your feet come underneath you, and you start to hear noises. To arms! To arms! Avalier, rise! Those noises fade. And you begin to move, and you feel coolness coming from that opening. You arrive, and the orange glow still hangs in the air, but suddenly the glass goes away. You're moving under the power of your own body, and you feel your sense and your memory return to you. You catch your breath, and once again, that sound does not sound like a stranger to you. You are in the plaza and can walk freely, and you are still looking at the child before you.
Is there still chaos happening around me?
Doesn't feel like it anymore. As you've moved back into a place that seems to have the power of your own body underneath it, it's almost like that slowed time is left behind you. You don't see any more things exploding. It's almost like the city has become still here in this place, as though everything else is momentarily subsided.
I wipe my mouth, look at my hands.
Blood dripping off your gauntlet.
It's still there. I start to approach, but from a little bit of an angle, and I keep my eyes locked on the child. Is it Elias?
Your son turns to look at you. Hi. Are you okay?
I'm okay. Can you come to me, please?
You
Elias, come here.
I'm fishing. I'm trying to catch something.
What are you trying to catch?
I don't know. I don't know the kind of fish that live in a place like this.
I'm approaching.
You
And I'm looking around.
You look around. You look into the hole, expecting to see only darkness, and you see stars. Through the hole, looking straight down, you see endless stars. And they're stars you recognize. The stars over Cathmoira. You feel and hear whispers, laughter, and I need you to make a perception check.
First roll of the campaign.
First roll of the campaign.
So this is how it's gonna be, Brennan, you son of a bitch.
It's not called EXU fucking party time, okay?
Can we? Is it too late? Come on. We're only like 5 minutes in. Yeah. First roll. Okay.
13.
Lucky 13.
That's what they say. Oh, it's an open!
No, it's all.
Way to go, Priest. Way to go.
These are the dice that y'all just gave me, too.
Yeah.
These are my, newest Exandria dice.
You, on a 13, you look and see stars, and sense starts to come back to you. These are the stars you learned to fly by, and behind you, you feel a sudden reassuring presence, and you feel a massive winged shape appear behind you. A griffin formed of starlight and pure magic nuzzles against your armor.
I instinctively just lean into him and touch his beak.
Griffins are, of course, half eagle and half lion. In a very cat-like way, your griffin nuzzles your armor and turns into a massive puddle like cats are wont to do. Lies down, talons in the front crossed, nestles down. Elias looks up. Are you listening for something? You hear whispers. On a 13, I need to ask you, do you speak Draconic?
I do not.
Oh. That's the end of the campaign. You do not. So all you hear is, "Hi there now, Gordranis. Gordranis."
Do you hear that, Elias? Do you hear that? Do you hear anything?
Dad, you sound crazy. Is everything okay?
Come here.
He goes, okay, but... And you see that he takes the little fishing pole and puts it in between the talons of the griffin. Uh-huh. So it's just sitting there. And he gets up, what's wrong?
And I kneel down, and I look at him, and I move the hair that's in his forehead off to the side, look in his eyes. I'm just glad you're safe.
Of course I'm safe. You'd never let anything happen to me.
I would never let anything happen to you. I'm gonna look back down into that pond.
Endless stars.
I'm gonna repeat that back into it, even though I don't know what it says or what it means. Gordranis.
You repeat Gordranis back into the pool.
Gordranis. I say it again louder.
Elias holds your arm. Dad, you know I won't look like this when you get home.
I know. Wait. Come back here.
Dad.
No. Don't leave. Just let me have this.
He holds the fishing rod. I think I caught something. He disappears into the pool, and you hear... The entire neighborhood in front of you vanishes as a body the size of a mountain crashes into the city. A massive red form writhes in pain, and a face as tall as a cathedral turns to you. A flood of sanguine fluid emerges from the mouth, and a horned figure looks at you. You look and see something older than the world look back. I'm sorry.
I approach.
I'm sorry.
What are you? What are you doing here? What is this?
My child, I fear I am too late. There are secrets they did not tell you. He opens his hand.
I rush to it.
His hand is the size of a marketplace, and you look, and in the center, translucent in ghostly imagery, you see a small tree, no taller than 10 feet. Ghostly light, translucent as blossoms move from it. And you see in ghostly light projected from the palm of this giant, this red horned giant.
What does this mean? What is this?
I'm sorry. You must look. He is coming. From behind you, a figure emerges in translucent white light. Could you do me the favor of describing what your husband looked like in life?
Oh!
God.
I ain't gonna do it like that.
I gotta go.
It's been 10 minutes.
So,
When do we breathe that? When does that come?
This whole episode is a trigger warning.
Too upset to take notes.
Evandrin is about 5'10". He's just a little bit shorter than I am. He's got red hair, straight, about shoulder length, half elven in appearance. He looks, if you look at Elias, our son, you're seeing the spitting image of what he's going to look like when he's grown up.
Evandrin steps past you. He cannot see you, and you understand in this moment, because your husband does not meet your eyes, that this is a memory. He is not here again, and he is still gone. He holds an amulet, steps towards the tree, and the blossoms from the tree blow in his direction. For a moment, his hair sweeps behind him, mixed with the petals of this flowering sapling. He falls to his knees, clutches his stomach.
I run to his side. I know this is a memory, but I haven't seen him in so long, and I want to see his face.
You turn to see his face. You see, he turns up to see someone else. Something's wrong. The image is shattered in a searing burst of light. Another figure, tall as a mountain. All of the light, all of the fire is but a shadow in the face of the dawn. You see a gleaming golden figure land with one colossal foot on the throat of this horned figure, press him further into the rubble of Avalier. And you see the horned figure looks to you and cries out.
His hands are still out?
You stand now in the palm of his hand.
I reach down and I touch it.
You see the figure. You do. You feel a pulse. You feel warm blood flowing through this giant. You look up. The face of the being above you is no face. There is no warmth to the eyes. You see the pitiless, featureless glare of the sun itself.
I look up at its face. Is it looking down in my direction?
It turns down to look at you.
Is this Palor?
Turn your eyes from this sinner. He is beyond redemption.
What has he done?
He has betrayed his kin. You see, the horned figure turns to you and says, "It's all right. It's all right. Just ask yourself, Xerxes. Whom did we betray?"
Yo.
And he...
I Stop!
Boom! You hold your hand, and as you hold it up, the light of the sun leaves and is abjured. Boom! The horned fiend coughs, looks at you with the expression of a being that has just had its life saved, and says, "No mortal would do this thing that you have done." Xerxes, if you look down and see the stars, what will you see if you look up?
His hand is, or his fingers curled up. I know I'm in his palm.
Mm-hmm.
I I look at his face and I start to approach one of the fingers that are standing up, probably like a pillar. Mm-hmm. And I put my hand on the finger and lean on it. And I'm holding on to him.
Yeah.
And I look up.
You see the ground, and it is fast approaching.
What?
And with that, you wake up.
Oh, Daddy. I think I'm in the wrong class. I thought this was freshman biology.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Cool. The first thing I do is I wipe my mouth and I see if there's blood.
You're drenched in sweat. Like, your sheets are covered in sweat. It's soaked through to the mattress underneath. But beautiful dawn light cascades through the window. It's another glorious morning in Avalier.
Don't even notice that. The first thing I do is I reach for something.
Yeah.
I reach. I imagine, is this the first of these sorts of dreams that I've had?
I don't think so.
No. I reach over for a notebook that I have and a writing utensil, and I start to try to recall that dream as much as I can, and I'm going to leave a dream journal. Hell yeah. If you dream like that, you're going to leave dream journals.
Yeah, true.
You write down the name Gordranis, which is Ghor, is the first word, and the second word is Dranis, Dranas. What's the room that, like, what is it? What? How
do you sleep?
Yeah.
Where do I sleep?
Yeah.
I am the first knight of Avalier, and I dwell in the tower of the first knight. But this particular room has accommodations not just for me, but for my griffin. Mm-hmm. So it's a tall tower, and it's a suite. It's not that opulent. It's not that fancy. It's got a large enough bed for me, and a couch, and all the standard sorts of things. A chair, perhaps, a fireplace to contemplate the dreams I have as I stare into the fire. But what it also has is a place nearby, a giant window, so that I can, so Tempest, my griffin, can hop in and fly out of.
I love that name.
You approach the balcony of the Tower of the First Knight. You see Tempest is there once again, clearly a magical creature. This griffin would be, in some ages of Exandria, would cause gasps and shrieks to behold something that literally has a body of cool amethyst liquid gemstone with stars swimming in its form and constellation. But here in the bustling city of Avalier, Tempest is but one of many wonders. And as you behold from your balcony the spire of Avalier, the city of crowns, a new morning comes, friends.
Stop being cool. Like, we don't remember what just happened.
The ground was there and it was coming here. Fast. You said fast.
If you look up and see stars, what happens when you look down?
To quote our wonderful producer Kyle Shire, it's 1979 and disco's never gonna die. We behold the age of Arcanum. A blending of magic and wizardry, sorcery and artifice that has created an age that will be spoken of in the years to come in reverence, but also perhaps by some in disdain. But what could they disdain here in these bustling city streets? As you look down from your balcony with your griffin here, ready once again, you know the significance of the day that awaits you. You look down at a busy street corner. You see here the massive Caro Hulk, which is a quadrupedal construct with velvet benches all along its back, that a group of wizards just sit at and wait for their stop as the automaton moves along in the city streets. And you look all around you and see suddenly, in the tall, spiring edifices of this wizard city, this testament to the power and might of mortal beings to make their own future and destiny with arcane strands, to make their will manifest on the face of Exandria. Suddenly, all around in the hustle and bustle of the morning commute, this very busy day, you see screens alight. Huge crystals all around the city suddenly show a face. Not only crystals, but at the top of the city in a grand waterfall. Now, a waterfall this size in any city would be pretty remarkable. Avalier soars above the clouds, flying through the sky. So from whence this waterfall comes, I leave to all of you to wonder at the magecraft that could have the scintillating mists of the Porco Falls fall beneath us. Fall. And for a moment, the falls themselves, 100 feet tall, reflect the face of Sam's character. Sam, would you go ahead and describe your character for us?
Sure. Wow, what face to describe? I am Loquacious Seelie, a changeling. My normal, or should I say, at rest appearance is pale skin, white eyes with sort of dark shading around them, white hair. In a sort of a up shock. If you look very faintly on the sort of gray skin of my face, there are little sort of veins, marbleization tendrils of black that, if you stared long enough, you'd see they sort of subtly move and shift constantly. He's wearing a gold jacket with a purple lining. Carries himself very high and mighty, but this is a broadcast, is it not?
This is very much a broadcast.
Well, as Loquacious broadcasts to the crystal columns of Avalier, before he begins his proclamations and heralds of the day, his appearance shifts slightly. The veins in his face sort of drip and move, sort of like paint being drained out of a can, and are replaced with other pigments and other colors. His face becomes golden, as gold as his jacket, and his hair becomes as purple as the lining of his jacket. He's quite a sight to behold. He holds in his hand, is it a wand? Is it a rapier? It's hard to tell. It's long and has something at the end of it, like like Bob Barker's old microphone. And he seems to speak into it, and it magically amplifies his voice across the city of Avalier. And whatever arcane and mechanical means he uses to broadcast himself are repeated over and over with a great echo across the city. That's who I am.
Incredible. We see boom, 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 arcane confetti blasts into the air, heralding the morning's announcements. And we see as Loquacious appears on all of the crystal columns, and in the main screen being the massive city-dominating waterfall at sort of the heart of the city, we see a spinning logo of the Herald's Tome. Would you care to make the morning announcements, Loquacious?
I would, but Arya, I need my copy. My copy.
Oh, Mr. Seelie, Mr. Seelie, got you right here. Yes, sir. Here you go.
Count me down.
In 5.
Do I look good?
4.
Yes. All
3.
right, here we go.
2.
Good morning and salutations, sundry subjects of the soaring city of Avalier. I am Loquacious Seelie, your handsome and helpful herald. I report the news that shapes Avalier's views. Tonight, as we all know, marks the eve of the replenishment and our return to Cath Moira, our terrestrial sister city. Remember, folks, make sure to fasten all those loose valuables and belongings tightly, as our friends in the Navigators Guild wish to remind us that there's always a pinch of turbulence in our descent back towards Exandria Firma. And speaking of belongings, why not try Orison's Odd Tack, the spell glue that sticks to what it's told. As Orison himself might tell you, and you see on the screen, on the crystals broadcasting this message, you see Loquacious's face for a moment quivers and starts to morph and dissolve into another face. His hair changes as well, and to the untrained eye, it would look like an edit or a cross dissolve. but to those who know that he is a changeling, he's actually changing his physical appearance live on screen to that of Orison. His skin becomes a deep red. His hair curls into curved horns, that of a tiefling, and speaks with a totally different voice and says, hello there, I'm Orison from Orison's Odd Tack, the trusted name in arcane adhesives for over 30 years. Check out our replenishment special, 50% off today only. Hop on down to Orison's. And then it morphs back into Loquacious-Seelie, who announces, well, make ready for tonight's fireworks extravaganza to the Dawn's Ledge side and enjoy the Parade of Beasts beginning at sundown in Excelsior Plaza, right outside the headquarters of my own Herald's Tome, your trusted record of renown. As the Archmages always say, knowledge is power. So pack a punch with a people's paper. All glory to the Academy Arcane and to the proud people of Avalier. I'm Loquacious-Seelie saying, Seelie you later.
People cheer and celebrate. You see that the news. We love the news. As that happens, we see Loquacious-Seelie where he actually is, which is at the broadcasting station. You are standing on a raised, like 10-foot diameter solid ruby platform carved with glyphs and runes from which you can broadcast to the city. And you see that Arya comes up and says, and we're out. Thank you so much, Mr. Seelie.
What, was it all right? I stumbled in the middle there. Did you think anyone saw it?
No. We have a cantrip ready, so we had a half-second delay and went back in and we changed it with illusion.
Some of the crystal columns in Evenloft have been down. Have they been repaired?
We're still getting word for the ones back in...
I need those ratings.
I understand. If you would, sir, the Architect Arcane, there's some civic construction occurring there right now, so that's what the slowdown is coming from. But
oh well, all right then. I'll take it up with her, I guess.
If you would prefer for us to we've been reaching out from your office and not getting
no reply at all.
Not at the moment.
Did you say that I had requested?
I can show you the exact text.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I will take it up with her the next time I see her. I don't get fired.
Very good. And a couple of things just run through real quick on your way out. I know that you're very busy and that you have things to do today.
Walk and talk.
She begins to walk through, and we see the Herald's Tome. From this broadcasting station, you are able to speak to the entire city-state of Avalier and broadcast your image. However, the Herald's Tome, its print edition is the paper of record for this city. And you see a number of scribes sitting on desks, sort of arcane quills moving over. You see that there is an entire hall of diviners, like fact-checking, going through and like crystal balls, looking into things. Like you see that there is an entire screen with a map of Exandria on it that some diviners are able to like move through. And again, you see this entire fleet of bards going back into a research library, old editions of the tome. Arya, your assistant, moves with you in this place. You see, she says, We got a little bit of a bite on something. There might be a seat opening on the Octothurge. We don't know anything for certain, but we know that Essel Longbolt has made some noises like he might be leaving for the Magister. For the Porters Guild election, do we still want to run that for tomorrow at the beginning of the replenishments festivities?
It seems like it's a little bit crowded. I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to get all the attention that we need on it. We'll be landing soon, right?
We should be landing within the next 24 hours. Longwin Valehelm reached out, who's trying to get Octavius Frost's old seat, and he essentially was asking if there might be another sort of expose about his long history with the Porters Guild. And
he is just such a dud, you know? I mean, like, we tried. We gave it our all at the beginning, right? But just no one wants to back that horse. So I just say that the airtime's all spoken for, and that we've moved on, and really, so should he.
Gwen Tenpace walks up, who's the head of the Heralds also. She's like your records keeper here, and comes over and holds out and says, "New numbers. It looks like Messira Kane is pulling ahead of Arcturus."
Excellent. As it should be.
Of course, sir.
I hope she knows who put her there.
Amazing! And you walk out from this place on your day. As you step out from the Herald's Tome, you look out at the street and see another Caro Helk bustling by. You're in Excelsior Plaza, which this place is thronged with people right now. Huge Caro Helk, boom, boom. Bunch of wizards riding.
Caro Hulk?
A Caro Hulk is a quadrupedal automaton with a bunch of benches on its back that people ride around.
Okay.
It's
like a mechanical elephant with bus?
It's an elephant bus. It's a robot elephant. It's a glowing robot elephant bus.
Cool.
A Caro Hulk. But you see some people walking along. As you step out, a bunch of people all sort of, and you see a couple of them take out little sort of docents and begin to take pictures.
I don't have time, but hello, hi. It's lovely to meet you. Hi. Yes.
Arya steps in and says, "Mr. Seelie has time only for a few autographs today."
Thank you. Sorry, she's dragging me away. I must go. But how about just one more?
You just get another autograph signed. As you walk away, you look out and see one of the Caro Hulks stops. How would you travel? Do you think you would you go all the way towards teleportation? Would you fly?
Where am I off to?
I think the biggest thing on your to-do list today is the Feast of Emir at the Palazzo Porco.
Oh, which is
later tonight.
Town?
Yeah, way up. The neighborhood that would be occurring in, looking at my own lore document here, that would be occurring in Gallimore, way up at the top.
I mean, I feel like I wouldn't take public transportation if I may.
Not at all.
Okay. If there's a private vehicle for me, that would be wonderful.
You see, awaiting outside, you see that there is a sort of wearing a jaunty little robe with some epaulets and sort of like a bellhop's hat, sort of a cross between like a bellhop's uniform and wizard robes. You see a junior member of the Porters Guild, not capable of full teleportation, but handy with a dimension door, goes, "Mr. Seelie, sir, ready?"
Yes, absolutely. Hold on. Let me just make sure I'm all buttoned up here. And Arya, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Very good, Mr. Seelie. Thank you so much. As you head off, you see, take one last look at Excelsior Plaza and the huge emblem of the Herald's Tome above you and all that you have achieved. You look out, you see the Caro Hulk takes off going, "Brought to you by the Golden Scythe." Heads up. And you take one last look and see another little automaton and look around. There are all the mortals you can see here are involved in artifice or wizardcraft or sorcery or pursuing their studies as a bard, engaged in the great work of this age. And you see automatons building and reinforcing and traveling. You see a Hodmadad, which is a basically uniformed little bright red and blue. It's a fabric construct, sort of like a scarecrow. But you see it walks the streets in a little pre-recorded message, and it's sort of smiling, bright blue fabric head, a little stuffed sort of burlap sack, goes, Get your bumbershoot, get your bumbershoot. Everyone, get your bumbershoots for inclement weather. Rain, sleet, snow. There's no telling what kind of weather we might be facing. And you see a little wizard mother with her daughter walking by in their robes. And the little girl says, Mummy, what's weather? And you see...
Wow. Ooh.
We've got to get her into school. $1.
And you see the mother says, don't worry, darling. Weather is something we must only contend with for a month every 7 years. And walks along. Bumbershoots, get your bumbershoots, Wizards of Avalier. And you, the porter, opens a door, and through it you walk. As you walk through the door, there are some questions as you move through this place. You
She walks through a door. I don't see where the questions are.
I don't see where the questions are. As you move through, you arrive in this next place. You're up in Gallimore, near where you need to go. The question of those crystal columns in Evenloft. Your assistants have basically said that reaching out to the Architect Arcane has not gone very well. Is there anything? Where does your mind go in this moment?
I mean, I could just go talk to her now, I suppose, if I have some hours to kill.
You do have some hours to kill. You could go talk to her in person. Absolutely. You head off to go find the Architect Arcane, Hierophant Abjura of the College of Abjuration, your ex-wife. Laren Coramar-Seelie. Speaking of Laren Coramar-Seelie, we are going to cut to the depths of Avalier. We do not see the sky here. To be subterranean in a place that rarely touches the earth is a very interesting thing, but we are deep within the Meridian Labyrinth, a network of passageways and arcane machinery, and we see a massive arcane engine, gleaming silver, polished to pure reflection of its surroundings and illuminated by the light of its own spell engines. And we see therein a powerful wizard. Abria, would you describe your character for us?
Let's go.
Laren Coramar-Seelie is this tall, lanky, dark-skinned elf. Her clothing is all gold and highly ornate, and even here in this place that never sees sunlight seems to like glow with the light of the sun. She has a purple cape kind of thrown over her shoulder, and in her hands she's just tossing this little screwdriver, and every time it hits the air it turns into a different tool and hits her hand. She catches it again as she's sort of checking over her great work. Looking at her face, she's very pretty and angular, and her eyes glow with like this gold energy that is exactly her magic, and it kind of radiates off of her. And yeah, the look on her face is one of both extreme focus, but also like that heartbeat before being distracted by something else. She's focusing on everything down here. The entire heart of Avalier in her mind is hers. And so you see her like mumbling under her breath as she answers yet another sending, as she focuses both on this and the things that she's not looking on right now.
Focus. A word at the heart of the Architect Arcane of Avalier. Looking at the engine in front of you, where does your prodigious focus now move? Having beheld the product of a long time of labor, even with your perfectionist eye, you are finding yourself hard-pressed to find anything here that warrants enormous redrafting. It's been a moment since your fixes have felt redundant, but I'm interested in how your character approaches this. Where does your focus go in the fullness of this engine? Are you looking at something internal, or has the time come to begin to think about how it connects to everything else?
Yeah, now that this great piece is fine, I think everyone else kind of moving through here seems a little more relaxed, but that's only tensed her up more. She's waiting for a break or a flaw or just that little heartbeat of like arcane flash before something goes awry. And then sort of seeing nothing and hearing nothing, her mind will drift towards the batteries and where all of that energy is stored and where the connections will be made once the replenishment happens. Mm-hmm. And then the cables and tethers back beyond that go to a place that only she knows.
Reading your instruments, the eldritch batteries hum with power. Truthfully, the auxiliary batteries have had to kick into high gear. You are storing about as much as the city is capable of holding. However, it doesn't necessarily leave you feeling fully satisfied because this is some of the oldest technology in the city and its limitations are well known to you. Yeah. A bracelet around your wrist begins to pew, pew, and the ring of masks, tiny, less than an inch tall, but of masks hanging from a bracelet around your wrist, begins to glow, and you see the face of the guild master of the Navigators Guild glow in illusory light as Akami Ro attempts to reach out to you.
Without looking down, I think she just sort of knows the masks by feel. She'll switch it on. Hi.
Architect Arcane, how are you feeling this fine morning?
I'm feeling great and don't care about small talk. What do you need?
Always a pleasure. I would say that I just wanted to let you know that we've entered the outer horizon of the Toramundan Nexus. No inclement weather scheduled for arrival 10 minutes before sunrise. So, if that works for you, we can stall a little bit, but we will be in position over Kath Moira sometime shortly after 1 in the morning. And we'll begin our descent, and we'll take that amount of time to make sure we do it safely and slowly. But
okay,
we should be terrestrial about 10 minutes before sunrise.
Okay, that's good. Is everything on the ground taken care? Are they ready for us then? We're fine and perfect here. Are the ground ones good?
I think there's always a few youths that like to sort of run around on the receptacles before the city lands, but they'll get,
They'll move or don't.
Yes, you see.
Move or don't. Had a couple don'ts in the past.
It's right. You are Architect Arcane. It's not like they won't see us coming.
That. It's a choice.
You see, you hear footsteps behind you.
What?
You see the Aormaton next to you. She's standing in the room.
Yeah.
You see Dweomer turns and says, "My lady, I hear approaching footsteps.
Yeah.
Should the veil of secrecy be enforced?"
Yes, please. Thank you.
She turns and walks out, and you hear, it's me, sorry. And you see a very old, kind of stick-thin man with sort of poofs of gray hair and just a mustache that can be sort of that Sam Elliott at the longest it got, sort of reed thin, walks up, arcane tools all around him, runs up and says, my lady, sorry. And this is, of course, Callum Staffright, your chief artificer.
Hi.
I've just come from the Grand Geometer.
Okay.
Tomorrow, the apogee solstice. We've known for some time it was going to be that the celestial solstice would in fact be a celestial.
Out all the way.
Sorry, I can't believe it. And he holds a scroll out in front of you, and he says, "You told us to alert you.
Yes.
Should we receive a measurement above 0.025?
How high? And I open it.
0.5.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. You're.
Yes.
Yeah. I will have other orders for you later. For now, I need you. Don't ruin this. I have to go now.
My lady? Of course.
Yes.
And you take the scroll. You see Dweomer looks and says, "My lady, all will be well on your return. We shall wait until you can come back. But everything is ready."
Incredible.
You... oh, yeah. No, you fully mute it. And you hear, hello? Hello? Hello?
Hi. Yes. Is there an important thing? Pleasantry. I'm excited. You're excited. It's going to be fine. Is there anything else?
Laren, if we don't have this relationship, we don't have to force it.
No,
and
I like you a lot.
I also like you. I like working with you, but,
Great.
It's kind of hard to shoehorn the niceties in at the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sort of like an asterisk in the text
like...
that goes to the footnote of how are you doing?
Okay, I have to go.
Truly nothing but respect. I actually do. I so respect it. I will... Well, hey, listen. We'll have a month of not having to fly this thing.
Yeah.
We'll have a month of not having to fly this thing, right?
Yes. Yeah. It'll be great. I gotta go.
Okay. Everything you say worries me.
No. And I hang up and I sprint.
You take up... Where's your first instinct to go in this moment?
I just need to get to private quarters. I need to spread this out and check it against my notes.
Okay. Would you stay here in the Meridian Labyrinth, or would you return to your quarters?
Quarters.
You go up. There is a permanent gate somewhere that is keyed only to your official emblem as the Architect Arcane. You move through, appear back in your quarters. You're up in Gallimore. Yeah. You spread this thing out. If you want to do a check about it, you can do a check about it. But
yes, please. I want to roll. Arcana?
Yeah, give me Arcana.
Oh, 17 plus 10 is a 27.
Ooh.
14.
Feels good.
Celestial solstices are a fact of life on Exandria. They are a part of the arcane and divine environment. Every 20 or 30 years, one comes along, and the veil between realms becomes incredibly thin. About every 100, 120 years, you get what's called an apogee solstice, where the orbit of the spheres, the relationship of the moons of Exandria kick in, and everything aligns.
Moons?
And that veil becomes so thin that incredible workings of magic are possible. Now, you knew that an apogee solstice was coming, but the Grand Geometer specifically reads ley lines because it's been recorded in the history of Avalier, your city, your home, that some apogee solstices are powerful enough to shift ley lines, to take the arteries and veins of the magical workings of this world and reshape them. You, reading the ancient lore of Avalier, were able to build the Grand Geometer to measure the strength of a coming apogee solstice. Based on your records, based on effectively arcane psychometry and the ability to read the power of other celestial solstices from runes and holy sites in your travels all over the world. Avalier, as you know, travels on the ley lines of Exandria, flying all over, trading with a host of cities and civilizations. You were able to deduce that anything above a reading of 0.025 on the grand geometer would indicate that there would be some slight shifting of the ley lines. 0.025. You're reading 0.5.
By herself in this moment, I think even as she's checking against her notes and double checking because she doesn't trust other people, she's actively weeping because she's been working towards this for so long. And it's both relief that all of the things that she's sacrificed could be worth it for this one shot, and the terror that she has so little time to take advantage of this tremendous moment.
Laren is in a city of wizards, often the most cerebral person in the room. Weeping does not come often, but there have not been moments like this that deserved it. And in that moment, as you realize what is possible, a lion's head gargoyle on the door, little door knocker, goes, "Madam, your ex-husband is at the door."
Walk over and throw open the door.
Oh my God. My darling.
And I clock very quickly that we are super matching right now. Hi, Quay.
Hi.
Hi.
You're home during the middle of the day. Don't you have a lot of stuff to do to land?
I do. Come in.
Oh, thank you so much. You see, I've been trying to reach you through the normal means, and it seems that someone's been ignoring someone else's. You know, when we separated, we said that we would try to remain friends, try to keep open, clear lines of communication. You know,
we are
see
a
each other
day
all the
out
time.
from the replenishment?
Yeah,
What
all the more
fucking
reason.
hairstyle
All the more
check
reason.
do you need from me? You look beautiful. What do you need? What do you need?
Well,
what do
thank you. Thank you. I'm just saying we're going to be down there a lot, probably mingling in the same with the same folks, glad handing with the same people down there. If we can't even talk amongst ourselves, then it's going to be very awkward for us. It's going to be very awkward for me, frankly, having to explain why there's this weird coldness in the room. And, you know, I know that you're obsessed with your work.
social status my problem right now?
You don't have to. Just reply to my messages.
Oh, the ones from Arya?
Arya is just my assistant.
I mean,
She's a fantastic assistant. She came highly recommended.
I'm sure she did.
She happens to be young. She happens to be attractive, but that goes with the territory. It has nothing to do with anything else.
Of course it
I'm not
doesn't.
safe on this side of the deal.
Of course it doesn't. You have my unadulterated attention.
Well,
right
that
now.
would make the first time that's ever happened.
I begin summoning a firebolt.
As you crackle with arcane energy that springs to your fingertips, you in between you, you see a momentary of paper as a little, and you look up and see the first of them approaching in the sky. The kites. Oh. You see spell kites. You hear cries and horn blasts. Behold, behold, Cath Moira has come into sight! And far off at the edge of the horizon is the base of a mountain. You can see from the beautiful front door that overlooks the descending city Avalier built into the peak of a mountain, which was lifted by mages long past straight into the sky, and you behold a terrestrial city, Cathmoira, which Avalier, let's be clear, geographically got the way better deal here, because Avalier gets to be on a solid mountain peak, and Cathmoira has to be a weird ring around a seat for the city to come back and land on. So Cathmoira is a ring of a city with a giant, like 3 mile sort of just like runic flat with some like groove holes for stone columns to come in to like IKEA fix the top of the city into. But you behold Cathmoira and you see filling the sky in between you and Cathmoira in the distant horizon, still far, far off, a endless parade of spell kites. Now that you have come close enough, the people of Cathmoira, families that have been apart from each other for 7 years, which is the circuit of time that Avalier travels Exandria and trade and amassing its great librarium incantatum and trading for secrets and gold all across Exandria. It's come close enough that the families there can send their spell kites up, attached to beacon stones in different homes in Avalier. The kites seek them out, and the kites, brightly colored with long tails of paper, carrying baskets with baked goods and flowers that can grow in the earth below, not conjured magically, but real growing things, come in a light, and in between the two of you, you see a kite coming to your home with your name on it.
In the moment that I see it's for you, I'm already back on my, I'm taking other calls.
Before you go, I don't want to leave it like this, all right? I just was struck with the memory that the last time we landed the cities, that's when we got married.
I remember.
So, I don't know. We were okay once, and maybe we can be again. Just for a moment, just for the month that we're docked, and then you can go back to hating me.
I don't hate you. And I will be on my best behavior.
I will too.
You should get that, and I should get back to work.
Good luck.
You grab a basket from some members of the Herald's Tome stationed back in Cathmoira, and as we see the kites over Avalier, so very many kites begin to approach back at Excelsior Plaza, but not to the Herald's Tome. No, indeed. We find them going to the vault of the Golden Scythe.
There I am, shirtless, close to the vault is a dance club, okay? There's no gold here, baby.
Not yet.
Drop the beat.
Here in the vault, we see countless automata shouting silk-dressed sky pirates, it seems like almost. Proud merchants, barrels of summoning salt rolling, giant wheelbarrows full to the brim with diamonds, cut perfectly, wheeling throughout. Flowers, festivities. There is a bridled unicorn. And we see and all of this moves, and there is in the center of this chaos, this controlled chaos, this endless empire of arcane riches. We see a single man at the helm, the ringmaster of a circus of impossible wealth. Lou, could you please describe your character?
Yeah, let's go.
Nidus is, I'm going to look at a picture of him because I always forget. Nidus is like kind of a stocky dude, like right around 5'10". He has long dreads cuffed with gold that come and lay just on his shoulder, like wearing the red of the golden scythe. Like a red coat with a like gorgeous golden pin with the signature of the scythe, with a cape draped along his back. He wears one of those funny, like kind of Renaissance merchant's floppy caps to one side. His face, long scar from his pirate days over his right eye. I know it's on my left, but I'm looking at a picture that's the reverse. So over his left, over his right eye.
The viewers are also looking at flipped image.
Okay. Oh, is it flipped for them as well?
I think so.
I don't know. Anyway, over his right eye is a scar. Over his left eye, you see 3 tattoos. He has tattoos of X's. He's got 3 over his eye. A beard that ends in a golden ring, and then set in his face are 2 eyes of hazel flecked with literal gold.
It's expensive.
Very expensive procedure.
Put gold in your irises.
You see Nidus in the center of this, wheelbarrows moving, barrels getting rolled up onto giant carol hulks that you built after all. And you look up and
You're welcome.
You look up and see a massive golden statue of a roaring dragon, gilded to perfection, glowering over this entrance, the most massive central warehouse of your order. Next to you, wearing sort of dull red robes with a kind of classic, like sort of arithmeticians or like bookkeepers hat, a sort of conical hat, with a sort of long beard, looking a little bit dusty, is Alessander Kairos, your chief bookkeeper. Sire, the word has come down from the magisterium. The need was for 200 bounded wands. It seems that we've already approved that, but 100 is already exceeding the budget we set forward at the beginning of the quarter.
Alessander, it's the replenishment.
I
It's the replenishment, Alessander.
Guildmaster, if you ask me to keep these books, I shall keep them. But I remind you that the Golden Scythe is not a consortium of wizards. We are merchants. Yes. I cannot produce something from nothing.
We are a symbol of the riches of our city, right? And should we limit ourselves, we limit the potential of Avalier. So, Alessander, you're going to find me in your brilliance 100 more wands. I have no doubt.
Perhaps I could reach out to the...
Yes, you could. There are calls that could be made, friends that could be nudged.
There are wands in storage for the Sorcerer's University. Oh. If you wish, I can... But the children will have to go... If I move the wands from there and there...
We'll have a whole month to acquire new wands before the city sets off. Alessander, this is not a problem worth dealing with.
All right. Sorry, Guildmaster.
Alessander, do not apologize. These are the questions that need to be asked. However, they have solutions.
You see that over your shoulder, Daenerys, who is your chief arithmetician, leans over and says, I believe actually our collection from the Circle of the Crescent Moon may actually, I believe that they have some wands on resource. So if we ask them to pay a portion of their contract, perhaps there's at a discount in wands. I believe that might make up the difference, Alessander.
Perfect. Alessander, Daenerys?
Yes.
Alessander, Daenerys, you two talk, figure that out.
You hear a booming voice from across the hall, again, moving through someone who is leading a very there's a full sphinx, a winged lion with a man's face walking.
This is our, are we putting on the Parade of Beasts?
You are, of course, the Golden Scythe is putting on the Parade of Beasts. The Sphinx walks up and says, hello, I understand that I've been brought here for the Parade of Beasts. I am, of course, a speaking and thinking creature.
We completely understand.
Yes.
We completely understand. The title Parade of Beasts is archaic in many ways.
Yes.
From a time when the riches of Avalier were not so that we would be graced by the presence of one such as yourself. Great.
You may call me, Ferromine.
Great Ferromine.
You see, he says, I was instructed that you just needed me to roar. I can say, if you want me to say something.
Should anyone converse with you, I feel you should feel more than welcome to speak. However, we thought it might be easier for you should you just give an enormous roar from deep within.
It's quite all right. The scythe has saved my maze and repelled a number of monsters from my home. So I owe you a great. I owe you. Are you unaware that?
No, I'm very aware and thrilled that you're here to give back to an order that's given so much to you.
You're the Sailor and Marines of the Harvest Moon. Your merchant company. They saved the enchanted glade in which my maze can be found, and and I said I owed them a boon, thinking that I might, in a time of need, come to their rescue. And they said, are you free on this date for the Parade of Beasts?
And what ease it is for you that you need not give of yourself in any way. We simply ask that you parade. That's it.
Yeah, I guess it's easier for me.
Great. What is your name again?
Ferromine.
Ferromine? You need to get, can you go ahead and get with Alessander, and then the two of you just talk, and I'm going to keep on moving.
You see that Alessander says, how much do we owe you for your service? And it says, no, it's a
boon! It's a boon! Don't pay him, it's a boon!
As you walk forward, you see, you hear off payment and boons, is that right? And you see the captain of your Sailor Marines, Captain Badran Esperad, walk up and say, there's the Guildmaster himself, the Dragon of Avalier.
Captain Badran, and I think we'll do a nice classic forearm.
Yes, beautiful.
Pirate to pirate.
You see, he says, there are some friends here to help in tonight's celebration, and I promised they'd be able to meet you. Children, if you'd be so kind, this is the founder of the feast and the creator of the Sorcerer's University. And you see there are a number of sorceress youths from all over Exandria. You see they're up in robes of gold, standing there. Some of them have scintillating dragon scales, some crackle with electricity. These are sorceress children. They're children that have manifested a connection innately to magic. And they line up in these robes and go, thank you, Guildmaster Nidus Okiro, for creating the Sorcerer's University so that we could study magic. And now do. And you see that the trunk, and they create a roaring dragon that moves for tonight's fireworks extravaganza. These kids have already learned how to. They're like
disjointed.
It
comes apart at one point. It splits in half.
In ages long past, the wizards of Avalier defeated.
Children. And I'm going to kneel down. That was spectacular. You are all going to do a fantastic job at tonight's event.
The little kid that you're sort of that's nearest to you looks up, and he looks at you and he says, "Is it true that you're a little bit of dragon too?"
I say, only in name, child. And then I'm gonna cast Fireball.
Too many spells.
Too many spells. I'm going through too much stuff and I can't find what I want. I actually don't think I have anything. But I do want to just breathe a little smoke out of my nose. If you'll just let me do that.
Yeah, you're a dragon sorcerer.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
absolutely.
I'll do a little bit, yeah.
And you see the kids just immediately go berserk and just like, and they run off. And you hear one older kid be like, "I told you so," and they scatter off. Badron smiles and says, "Good eggs." No pun intended, gesturing to the dragon up above.
Of course.
He looks at you and says, Nidus, I wanted to touch base as well. The children wanted to see you. They're very excited for the fireworks extravaganza. I went to go get the actual payment for the Stormbringers. They helped us on that thing on the coast of Isilra. And I was told that we needed to forestall their payment by some time. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. Just for, through the replenishment. By the time we are back in the air, everything will be in order.
All right.
Can you start, like, you can hold, it's just through until we're back in the air.
Yeah. Well, if that's what it is, that's what it is. I mean, there's nothing they can do if they're told to wait, they will wait. It's just that the business there is not completely resolved, so it would be nice to be able to use them again. Do they have to wait the entire month while we're terrestrial, or?
I mean, hopefully once certain debts are paid, given after this, upon our return, certain debts will be paid, which will hopefully fill coffers, which will free things up. But right now, Badron, I really, we need to keep this one on hold.
You have the vision, Guildmaster. Tough conversations are not the thing I'm most frightened of. And he heads off. Where does Nidus move now? You think like this you know?
I think would Nidus know that kites are coming?
Yes, you would.
I would move to find. I would be looking for the one from my brother.
You go up to your office and see the kite tapping gently against the window.
Hello, friend.
It opens up. You see your brother Edalus, his script on a letter, his wife Irme's incredible sort of nut and fruit loaf, this like ground-based something like home cooking that you haven't had in so long.
This loaf. This beautiful loaf.
It's just a sweet,
this is gorgeous.
sweet little
Nidus
loaf.
is just holding a loaf.
You see it's a short letter, and you see it says underneath it says, "Even dragons have to land. There will be a table set for you when you get here, brothers."
It's a Hallmark card.
Truly. I think Nidus takes a moment, cuts just the notch of the bread, as it'll likely be some of the only food he gets to eat today. Noshes on it, and then
without fail, as you say that, you get a bite in, and there's a knock at the door. You see that Alistair enters and says, "My lord, Magister Milus Fren is here to speak with you. If you're busy, I don't have to let him in, but if you wish."
Oh, no. With the replenishment coming up, I don't want anyone to feel ignored. Who is this man?
Give me a history check.
Who is this man?
Who is this man?
Is it on our 20-page lore doc?
That's a cool 17.
17? I mean, he's a magister, but truly to you, this is a nobody.
Got it.
You see a reedy.
Oh, can I say one more thing
Yes.
to Alistair?
Yeah.
I say, if this doesn't seem to be that important, 30 seconds in, I need a call.
Yeah, very well, of course. Alistair steps out, and you see that a reedy, kind of sallow-faced Archmage steps in. This is a member of the Magisterium. And you see he comes in and says, Guildmaster.
Magister.
On such a busy day, I do appreciate. I am so sorry that time has worked out that I must bother you on such a busy occasion.
Oh, think nothing of it.
But I've heard you might be the man to come talk to. I have heard some rumors about some movement in some of the upper echelons, and I'm looking to see if I might be able to be a welcome hand to those in need, as I owe some favors to some friends of mine higher up near the Arch Sept, you understand. And I've heard that when it comes to the replenishment, well, sometimes there's, as we know, the auxiliary batteries have been lit up, and it seems that there might be a surplus of ether this year. And I was wondering if you were the man to come and speak to about that. On a 17 history, you don't like that this guy...
This is too low.
Yeah, too low for you to notice. And too low for this guy to have... to be talking this openly about something like this.
Magister, I do not know to whom you speak, who felt so comfortably embracing rumor as if it were fact. But this is not the case, and you have come to the wrong person. And I would ask that you excuse me, as I have much to do with regard to the replenishment.
Alistair opens the door and says, Guildmaster, the Sphinx is pitching alts on his roar.
Oh my god.
Well, we really need to nail this down. Talent. Have a lovely day, Magister.
He looks, and you see Alistair, Captain Esprod steps in and says, Magister, right this way.
Yes.
And moves him on out of there.
Alessander, what the fuck? Is he actually doing that? Is the Sphinx actually pitching alts on his roar, or was that your creative solution?
No, that was my creative solution. The Sphinx is actually just sort of sulking in a corner.
Oh, well, that's more of a problem.
Oh, sorry, I just thought he just seemed...
But do you have some ideas for alts on a roar?
All glory to Avonlea?
Oh, that he would yell that instead of roaring.
Maybe he could do both. I don't know. It's a long parade.
Oh, honestly, Alessander, I'm sorry for shooting this down. This is good. Let's go talk to that Sphinx.
You take off. We move from the Golden Scythe. Incredible. And as we move from the Golden Scythe, I'm going to press some buttons.
Remember when we started with the scariest thing in the whole world? And that scene happened?
Kind of forgotten it. Now things are kind of fun.
Look how happy we all are.
Size of a mountain. Size of a mountain.
The sun without eyes.
The crowd was going real fast. But at least we laughed.
The sun was fishing in space. It's cool.
Like you do.
Who did we betray?
I didn't betray nobody.
No one. We're fine. This is great. We're doing great. And nothing bad will happen.
Yeah.
We move from the Golden Scythe and once again begin to shift back towards a neighborhood that we haven't really explored yet here within Avalier. We go now past Excelsior Plaza all the way to Cloudstone. We have seen so far that the Tower of the First Night. We go deeper. Massive marble building. The footsteps. People echo off of cold stone. And we see an emblem up above of a massive eye with a slitted pupil overhead. The people who move in this place are not wearing robes, and they do not carry orbs nor staves nor wands, but instead weaponry. This place does not hum with magic, but instead, a cold and silent somberness fills the air here. This is a place of sharp clarity. Through the echoing halls, an assortment of, well, I suppose we might call them rogues, but there is not very much roguish about them. They wear rings, the emblem of an eye on the outside. And we see one such member walking down a corridor, flanked by some attendants. Guardian of the Seventh, senior sight warden of the Eyes of Avalier. Travis, did you describe your character?
You see, standing tall, but with a cloak and a hood pulled up just behind his feathered head, a 6.5 foot tall Isfura, so a bird person, if you will, with very white feathering that falls into brown tips, a dark beak with slightly gray, slightly bluish eyes, proud, strong shoulders, strong wings tucked back, but fairly folded back beneath a cloak, and a badge of some sort that's just slightly hidden on his person. His arms sort of tucked in tight, only to, if for no other reason than to hide the double holstered axes, hand axes that are underneath his arm, and wraps around his wrists and his taloned fingers and feet as he moves along. And this is Saret Agrupnan.
Saret Agrupnan walks a mode of transportation that is not your primary form of movement, but here in these halls with all of these terrestrial folks, even in this skyborn city, you walk into a chamber.
I'm just doing part one right now. I'll do
carved of a single piece of marble. It's about 40 feet by 40 feet. The ceiling's about 30 feet tall. One wall in the marble is carved with pure force. As you walk in, you see that there are a collection of, some of them might be artifacts or magical items. Many of them are just debris and bric-a-brac. There's like a partially sort of ruined carpet, and they're floating in this pure white marble room. As you walk in with your attendants, they stop at the beginning, and you see a burly, leather-clad half-orc with a big old tusk coming out. The other one got chopped off some time ago. But you see he's got his hair kind of pulled back into a long ponytail, leather cord wrapped around. Looks back and goes, "Oh, Pinch, how the hell are you?"
"I'm good. It's good to see you, Arwen."
"Well, you ready for this? I mean, I don't know how much the boys are going to be able to do." You see that there's some sort of figures that are partially concealed behind that force, that sort of window of force. They go up, and you see that one of them presses a button and projects a voice using magic into the space and says, "Sight Warden, we're ready whenever you are, so just give us the signal and we'll activate the chamber."
Always got to make them wait, understand? Do things on your own time.
You see Orem looks up at you and says, Yeah, the kids, the eggheads in there, yeah, I like that. How's the missus doing, by the way? You got to come by and have dinner sometime.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's real busy at the house. We'll take you up on that. You seem to have gotten here before me. Anything I need to know before we begin?
Well, this is basically the debris. So, we were parked over Vasselheim for about 10 days. We're there trading, last port of call before coming home. Taking off from Asilra and flying straight here.
Very much not.
While we were there, we get reports from the constabulary in Vasselheim that the Archmage Vespin Chloris Hold on a second. The Archmage Vespin Chloris is gone missing. We didn't think anything of it, you know. The report of basically the only reason we heard either tale of it is that the people there were worried that he was doing some heresy. You know, Vasselheim. They're worried that someone was doing something against the gods, and so what we did then is, you know, they say, hey, did this guy do anything, and is he stowing away aboard the city and about to take off? So we did a sweep. We said, no, Vespin Chloris is not stowed away. But, you know, even if he was, we're not going to answer to you're not going to extradite the guy, so...
no trace of him, just vanished into thin air.
Well, that's what we've been getting the chamber ready for. I mean, we took a quick look at his chambers. No hide nor hair of him. I mean, the rumor is he was trying to recreate the matron's ritual.
Another one of those, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, every two-bit sorcerer hedge maze he pops up with their bodies scattered in a miasma of their own goo, trying to name-check some prime deity. Comes in here, nothing more than a stain, but... you know, this it looks like this joker did it so bad that they didn't even leave a hair or a fingernail. I mean, there's nothing left of the guy.
I mean, I appreciate you having me in here, but this seems like something you would be able to dismiss on your own. What makes this any different than the others?
Well, we did dismiss it, and then they wanted to get rid of a bunch of this, which is what opens this can of worms up. So, you see, he looks over and says, this bric-a-brac, all this magical nonsense from his chambers, his sanctum, this made it aboard Avalier, and it was headed for the arcane furnace. It was going to get disenchanted, broken down, and added to the etheric net, you know, so we can come back and dump all the ether into the ground and replenish the continent of Dominus. But, you know, we grabbed it out of the line because... you know, we got word from, I think, someone came down. Hey, Costello, where did we get that? And you see, he looks over, and you see, he says, member of the Ring of Silver came down and told us we needed to pull it.
Ring of Silver, you say?
Yeah. Said it was of academic importance, something like that.
Mm-hmm. I might know where that might have come from. You know what? You did the right thing in involving the rats in this city. Let's see what we have, shall we?
All right, boys, light her up. And you see, the psychometric chamber in the center of the Hall of Eyes alights, and rendered in perfect detail, not using illusion, which you would detect, but using pure transmutation, recreates from stone the sanctum of Vespin Chloris.
You're in a different movie than the rest of us.
And as this happens, as he's done dozens of times before, you see his arms fall to his side, his irises open wide, and all the feathers on the back and top of his head stand up tall, full crest.
As you begin to do your thing, Orem keeps talking, knowing that this is such second nature to you that you can split your focus easily. He looks out and says, yeah, well, you know, we had a squad teleport back when we were over the ocean, and they got back. He's still not back there, so Porter's Guild's not happy that we're holding on to this stuff with the whole Great Registry and everything, and the fact that there's no guild master for them right now, that the election's been postponed, so... You know, go ahead and give me your investigation check.
A roll. Yes, a roll.
He's just moving slowly around the room as this happens. Holy shit. 31.
Oh, level 14.
There it is.
Level 14.
There it is.
For those at home, in the general breakdown of difficulty classes of DCs, 30 is the top success level that they list. They don't list any higher than 30. You're looking around. So the chamber shifts. Stone grows, shifts. And you are looking at the sanctum. And as you are looking at it, a series of controls opens up around you. You see these little glyphs. You know that one of them you can shift to move the sanctum backwards through time. The way this magic works is it is the memory of the objects in the space. So you have a recording of what the objects remember. Unfortunately, the way the psychometric chamber works is these objects don't record the passage of beings. They don't record like organic creatures. They just record other inanimate objects. So, but you can move through time. You can move through day and night. You can see different states that the sanctum was in. And another one allows you to actually like zoom in. You almost never need to use that one. That's for people that are not. As you look in, you see Orem goes, so, you know, I mean, we're holding on to this stuff for academic concern. I mean, what do you think? You think the guy actually did the damn thing? I feel like I read in my history books that when the matron of ravens ascended, it was pretty clear there was a new god of death. I mean, people knew about it. I think we would have heard as a new god of jerking off or whatever this guy did. We know. Your attention is drawn to this sanctum is windowless. It is cold and austere. There are some candelabras. There are a lot of writings here in some of the objects, glyphs that you recognize as celestial, some you recognize as infernal. You see something on the floor. It's badly rusted or corroded. It's like an old piece of metal. It's maybe about 1.5 feet long. It's got like this patina of corrosion on it, but your eye moves to it. And as you examine it, you realize that this is something disenchanted, and it used to be much larger. On a 31, you see a little glyph hover in the air next to you, with a library from the symbol of the librarium incantatum opens up, and you see the ability to move through like all recorded artifacts, magical items, everything Avalier's ever come into contact with, like appears before you. But you're looking at this thing, and you feel like looking at the corrosion on it, it used to be much bigger. This is a fragment left of something that wasn't just like broken or shattered. It was like almost rusted away instantaneously.
Is the shape familiar with anything I've held before? Is it a fragment or a piece, or does it look whole?
Thinking of it as a fragment, you recognize the curvature of the end of it starts to curl back, and you think you're looking at a part of a bow. And as you think of that, you see that Orem comes over and says, "What do you got there? What are you looking at, Pinch?"
Unless my ears haven't served me well, I think we're dealing with a piece of a weapon.
As you do that, you see that the glyph next to you zeroes in, and you begin to look. As you begin to like hold it in your hand, this like dull, inert, non-magical metal. You look really closely and see that the corrosion comes from a disenchantment. Now, this is where your impossible investigation skills and also your proficiency with arcana and magical workings, most of the disenchantments you come across work in a spell casting way in which the thing that was being disenchanted was targeted. As a result, when something corrodes or is disenchanted, it tends to have a pattern in the patina that is left on it that starts at a center and moves outward, right? That like a wizard in a dispelling check will name something and break it. Now, already, to disenchant a magical item, we're talking about 9th level magic. You're talking about really, really rare stuff, even in the Age of Arcana. This doesn't have that pattern to it. You're looking almost at like how you would look at something and say, okay, if this was targeted to be disenchanted, it would start at a center point and move out. Everything here has the same grain to it, which means that some energy came into a space and exploded or moved outwards and was able to indiscriminately disenchant a magical object.
Along with everything else.
As you look on that 31, you look and see marks on the ground of a summoning circle that has been completely eradicated. That something was supposed to be bound here. And the thing that was supposed to be bound so wildly and easily escaped those bounds that it erased any obvious trace of a summoning circle. You don't even think the other guys that have come in here already, you don't think Oren can see it, you don't think anyone else can see it, but you're looking and see traces. There's no recollection of what the runes even would have been, but you just see from the spacing. You're like, yep, that's a 16-point circle, that's the corners, it's oriented with the largest rune being due north. This is a summoning circle that's been erased.
Owen, I'm betting balls to bone. This is not your standard fare. No.
Yes. Well, so some kind of... This guy tried to call something up and get the better of him? I mean, they said he was working on, what they're all working on. He said he was trying to crack godhood.
Right. How many other people besides you and I are privy to the details of this room? You working with anybody else, sharing information? Anybody sponsoring this for you?
Well, the boys know that we're doing it, but this is the first time they've turned it on, so no one else has seen this.
I'm gonna need you to go ahead and lock this down for the next hour or so. I want a full detailed record of everything in this room. I want a catalog, and I want it sent to my office, just you and me.
Are you trying to keep this, like, how much are you keying Orem into how concerned you are? Do you want him to be, like, keyed into this, or are you trying to keep a little bit of a veneer up?
I'm keeping a little bit of a veneer, but I also don't want him to be careless.
Yeah. Give me a little deception check just to keep, like...
Was it a secret? You keep it secrets.
15.
Orem goes, you got it. We'll get a record of it. We'll send it over, and we'll scrub the copies on our end. It'll just be sitting on your desk.
I would appreciate that.
He points to the thing in your hand and says, do you want us to enter that into evidence, or...?
No, let me run this by a couple of friends I have.
You hold on to it. You look back at the circle. Totally gone. There's no telling what the runes could have been. There's nothing left. You've seen a lot of people who attempted something stupid, and there's almost always a testament, something left about a body, a mistake. It's so empty. You walk away. But I'll tell you where's not empty. We transition from this place to the heights, and I think we all know exactly where we're going. We're going to the very top, the summit of Avalier. And as we arrive, we see the Arch Sept, home of the Septarian, the 7 highest archmages of Avalier. In the grand chamber, the central dome, at the base of the Arch Sept, where outside the great staircase leads up to the halls of the Septarian, the eldest and most powerful wizards of Avalier, we see a 100-foot-tall statue, a colossus, of a beautiful elven man, carved in marble, his long hair behind him, Ymir the Bold. He stands, reaching up to the very heights of the dome itself, looking down at his outstretched hand. Circling above his hand, levitating some 20 feet above it, is the city of Avalier in miniature. Miniature, of course, it still being some 20 feet wide and 20 feet tall. At the base of the statue of this ancient and powerful elven wizard, Ymir the Bold, whose great magic lifted the city of Avalier from its terrestrial constraints, forever sundering Toramunda into its component cities of Avalier and Cathmoira. Ymir Porco, great wizard and first of the Septarian. At the feet of Ymir Porco, who do we find, Marisha?
You see a middle-aged, although you wouldn't be able to tell, elven woman, clear ivory skin with hair that is silvery white, almost reflects the sky around her. She has a long kind of collared-breasted coat over top that stretches down like a gown in an emerald green that almost has its own silken sheen to it, with a kind of teal, blue, indigo, name your color dress, depending on how it hits the light, underneath. In her hair, she has this almost like a sun ray fascinator made of gold, where pieces of her hair are falling through it, and around her neck is a rigid golden ring. If you look closely at it, it has tiny blue crystals, almost like tiny Swarovskis, that are broomstone, and it lightly levitates and rotates and spins around her at all time, as well as a glowing orb that is her focus, that also just kind of hovers, almost celestial, planetary in nature. She looks as if the outfit was made for her this morning, because it probably was. Her makeup is impeccable. She is the most put-together woman you have ever seen in your life. And she looks up and she just goes, "Happy replenishing, grandfather."
The massive statue of your grandfather smiles knowingly, his gaze eternally fixed upon the city that he raised into the sky. The very top of the staircase, spiraling around the dome, a wall, seamless, changes and swirls with magic energy as a door appears. Paisha, you're here to meet Loris of the Weaver's Mask, a member of the Ring of Gold. Those 14 wizards, apprentices of the Septarian, who command respect second only to the 7 archmages that rule the city itself. Loris of the Weaver's Mask commands respect and status by virtue of being an apprentice to one of these archmages. And you've come here to meet him on the day of the replenishing here in the Archsept, one of the few people who even is allowed to walk within this place. This is a magocratic society. This is not open to the public, but you are not the public. As Keeper of Scrolls, you find yourself welcome here. But of course, not every Keeper of the Scrolls has been. No. That position has an extra meaning in subtle and clever hands. The door opens, Loris steps out, and is accompanied by a second figure. And I'm going to need to know your reaction when you see the gleaming visage of Eldamir the Wise, one of the 7 of the Septarian, one of the true 7, steps out and begins to descend the staircase.
She has all of the cool. She does not show it on her face. In the back of her head, there's a little twinge of her wondering, what is he doing here? But she would never show it on her face except for maybe the ever slight tilt of an eyebrow.
Loris, the apprentice who walks here, Loris of the Weaver's Mask is a beautiful raven-haired elven man who wears a partial mask over his face. His cloak is of red and green and gold and purple, carved many bright colors, and as his hands move through space, you can almost always see strings trailing from them, fading translucently into magic. The arcane power commanded by Loris is overshadowed by almost no one, with the exception of Eldamir the Wise. Eldamir has sat on the council since the beginning of Avalier. It is rare to see an ancient elf, but you see, slightly bowed with age, wearing a shimmering golden cloak that appears to offer little glimmering crystals of golden light that shimmer in geometric shapes and turn into motes and float away. A face illuminated by its own wisdom and counsel. The eyes of Eldamir are soft and smiling, and he leans upon a wooden staff that he has wielded for centuries.
Your Eminence.
Keeper, it is a pleasure to meet you here in this place.
The pleasure is mine. What do I owe the pleasure?
You see, Loris says, the great Archmage Eldamir the Wise wished to meet you face to face, my good friend. You see, Eldamir says,
I did wish to meet you face to face. I was told, word reached my ear, high up though I am, I still see much, that the record has been set that the Librarium Incantatum, under its current Keeper of Scrolls, has bested the previous record for magical knowledge gained in a single venture. And I asked to whom the young Archmage Porco had wrested this title, and I was informed she had wrested it from herself, who had set the previous record.
Well, it is quite an honor to hear that my exploits have reached your ears.
Yes, well, of course. I wished only to see you. How do you... Oh! I didn't think of where we would meet. Your grandfather and me.
Yes.
Hey, when I was a young lad, I saw him and thought, there is wizardry itself. The sheer brilliance, the sight, the vision. To go to the druids of old Toramunda, those old Gaudrashari, and to say to them, well, you listen here, you might be able to turn into a bear, but so what? I was going to take this city to the sky. and he wrestled with them, he did, and they said, you're not going to split the city in half, and he said, there's more brimstone. Did you know that the veins of brimstone set into the sculpture are perfect to the millimeter with the veins of Broomstone in the base of the city itself. It is a perfect replica.
You know, I did, but I never tire of hearing of it or your stories.
I'm sure that I repeat myself. Here's a story you won't have heard, and I'll tell this, and it's a little...
Oh, please, I have all the time.
Well,
Are you all right? Do you need to sit down?
Yeah.
Are you all right?
No, quite all right. Hold on. There it is. Oh, well. All I wished to say was... Oh, your grandfather and me, poor Curly, me the bull. They made this statue, and the original artist... The original artist, he was going to be lifting the city aloft, and in the structure that he made, they had a small miniature version. This was centuries ago. And they had a small miniature version, and they lifted it up, and they said, well, put it in the dome. And he said, so what? Everyone standing on the floor is going to see the bottom of my chin looking up at the city up here. It's the most unflattering angle I've ever heard of. He said, the city should be down here so that people on the ground can see my face looking down at the city.
After all, it's all perspective.
Perspective is exactly the word. Loris, you would be so kind as to speak to the Keeper of Scrolls. There are some matters of perspective, and I'm very interested to know what... On this, the eve of the replenishment, what you see as the future of Avonlea. How does the day strike you, my lady?
Oh, goodness, that is quite the question, but I believe deeply in me and my fellow compatriots and our dreams of Avalier and continuing to set the reputation of the forefront of the Age of Arcanum. We will always be first and foremost. That is my goal and destiny.
Destiny?
Yes.
A single golden tear collects at the corner of his eye. He says, we live in an age where we now know that we may write our own destiny.
Absolutely.
Loris, talk to her about what we, talk to her. And you see, he says, happy replenishing to you, Keeper of Scrolls.
Your Eminence.
He vanishes from this place. Loris turns to you. Sorry for the surprise.
I'm never surprised.
It's this uncanny resolve you possess that means that we have some conversations to hold. My counterpart, the other apprentice of Eldamir the Wise, Volusia of the Heart's Emblem.
Volusia?
You see, he leans in and says, Volusia. Volusia has announced her intention to retire, and an apprentice's seat will be opening in the Ring of Gold.
In the Ring of Gold?
That is correct. She has announced her intention to return to Cael Moro in Marquette. There to... I couldn't tell you.
Why would she want to go to Marquette?
She has grown weary of the sky, she says, and wishes for the company of other elves. She... I don't know. Wants to build a tower. Perhaps she's tired of being a medium fish.
Well, I'm not sure what good it is to be a larger fish in a puddle.
That's because I'm talking to a shark.
Yes.
I'm mentioning this to you, and I'll let your imagination do the rest, but there are concerns that Eldamir the Wise has, and they are very real concerns. The amelioration of these concerns would be of the utmost comfort to my
mentor and master. We have word that Aor may be preparing an attack on Lathras. You would know Lathras is one of the smaller flying cities. They're drumming up the usual something or other about war. Our understanding at the moment is that it's to test something. There's no actual threat that Lathras poses. It's a dry run of something that they might intend to use elsewhere. The time has come for us to make good on the scurrying that I know this, what do you all call it? The ring of brass?
Yes.
You see, if you have something up your sleeve, Pesha, now might be the time. Two other small things. I know you have a busy day, and this will be the last time we're able to speak.
This is clearly of the utmost importance.
Obviously, that is incredibly private. You share that only at your utmost discretion.
It will join the other secrets up my sleeve.
Very well. Then I look forward to what you may accomplish in the days to come. Two other minor things. We've had to shut down the Hall of Prophecy, so I'm not sure if the Guildmaster Nidus had anything planned there, but the Hall of Prophecy is this is just a little...
Why?
The oracles require rest. There are some issues with the return to Dominus. I believe that they may have just been exhausted.
They're predicting the calamity, aren't they?
And they couldn't take a rest in 1 day's time?
It's possible that they will be able to reopen following tomorrow's great replenishment. Perhaps during the festival of the replenishment, while we are terrestrial, we may be able to reopen it. But I will let you know as soon as we have some more information.
I certainly hope so.
Also, it has come to the attention of Eldamir the Wise that some artifacts from Vasselheim may have made their way aboard the city. There's a site warden, I believe Guardian of the Seventh. The site warden, you see he pulls something up in his own spell book. The site warden Agrupnin. I believe this is someone with whom you have some fair share of business.
Site warden.
Yes. Oh, yep. Oh, right. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
You see, he says, it's come to the attention of Eldamir the Wise that there may have been some attempts by this Archmage Chloris to recreate some vestigial... an attempt to recreate the matron's ritual.
The first time ever, Pesha shows a little bit of her inner thoughts and just gives, like, the slightest hint of an eye roll.
Does divinity and the ascension thereupon cause you some disdain, Keeper?
It just feels like such a hollow title, especially compared to the wonders and the powers that we possess as mere mortals.
You see underneath the towering statue of your grandfather, himself immortal, your words ring throughout the dome. Loris raises an eyebrow and says, I admire your, for lack of a better term, team spirit. Eldamir the Wise is concerned with the wielding of such dangerous magics, and if you are able to collect any reports from the Guardian of the Seventh,
it has been voiced by the Archmage Eldemir that those transmissions not be referred to the normal chain of command. The Magisterium does not need to be alerted as to the Site Warden's findings. If you might do the Archmage the favor of reporting those findings directly to me, that would be highly beneficial.
Directly to you. Well, I shall speak to the Octothurge. Run it up the chain, as they say.
You see, he says, of course, these findings should be released to the Octothurge immediately.
Well, I can see your reticence. But for me, my concern is how this information even fell into the hands of this one, Mage Chloris.
Well, those questions deserve answers.
Absolutely.
Terrestrial mages coming into power. Obviously, the odds that he was in any way, shape, or form successful are slim. But it's dangerous magic to tangle with, and it's the responsibility of this council to see that Exandria is kept safe from any such meddling. A formal report should, of course, be made to the Octothurge, but I understand that those take some time to compile. So if informally you wished to communicate any findings of the Site Wardens directly to me, it would be greatly appreciated.
You have my word. We will be in touch.
Archmage Porco nods and leaves. From there, the day moves on, and we, I believe, we take some time to, wait, how much time, sorry, Kyle, how much time do we have? Should we stop? Should we keep going?
No one is answering.
No one's answering.
You want to take a break?
You control the reins.
Hey,
There are 2 hours and 30. Great time for a break.
Hey, I'm running the show here. It's break time. Tune in after the break as we continue this Exandria Unlimited Calamity.
Hey critters, Laura Bailey here to guide you through what's new in the Critical Role shop. Could anything be more perfect? Look at this, isn't it fashion? So much fashion happening here. I mean, the Traveler always says impulse purchases are a good decision.
Style should never be a dumb stat, darling.
Roll an investigation if you want. It's basically perfect. And hey, if you want, you could head over to the Critical Role shop right now.
And with that, we will call it a night. And in the morning, I shall record part 2. Interesting. We now have our cast assembled. None of them seem to be religious or on the side, loyal to the gods. So that's going to be interesting. But we'll have to find out what happens later. Until then, this is Frine Rudimentra, and I wish thee good fortune on the quest of life.